Listen to the sound of footsteps in the dark, to voices that may not be quite human, to the sound of screams in the night. The Haunted Cabaret, the home of all things horror, on Rhode-IslandFreeRadio.org, with your host, George Garner. The Haunted Cabaret starts now.
Alice Cooper, the unmistakable one, $1 Billion Babies, here on this week's issue of The Haunted Cabaret. I'm your host, George Garner. To my right, here in the studio, we have Chuckles the Clown.
Good evening.
Well, to my left, up until a couple of seconds ago, we had DJ Psycho Eddie, who should be back anytime now, getting rid of some beer. Over at the control board, Tony Jones. And I was going to go on about a couple of subjects that had come to mind to talk about on the way over here. But I understand that, Chuckles, I understand you had a real run-in with some psychotic, pathological Christian. This week on a job you went on, and the man tried to verbally crucify you.
For saying the word Jesus Christ.
Okay, this begs a story. I mean,
No, it's
You-
just something simple. Like I made an accident or had an accident, and I said the word Jesus Christ, and he came down. The Lord's going to strike you from down above. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, out of all the stuff I've done, if the Lord's hasn't struck me down yet, he's not going to.
right. And you were telling me a little bit, during the music that this job that you were on, that you ran afoul of the Lord, was actually a alcoholic beverage company.
Yeah, they deliver alcoholic beverages.
Okay, so what we have here is a born-again Christian working for an alcoholic beverage company who's finding fault with his workers for committing sins on the job, never quite realizing that possibly the job is a sin.
Oh yeah,
I mean, do I have this straight?
yeah. I'm not going back. Let's put it that way.
Unless they deliver communion wine, then he's covered.
Yeah, really, that's their little loophole.
None of the places we went to was delivering communion wine. That's for sure.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time a born-again Christian was hypocritical, pathological, psychotic. Actually, pretty much the whole conservative Republican Party falls under this category, I think, along with probably a few million born-again Christians. See, I never get tired. Now, long-time listeners to the show know that this is not the first time that I have ragged on Christians. No, I have nothing against a person who professes to be a Christian, who spends their time going to church, doing good deeds for other people, engaging in works of Christian charity. I do have a problem with the hypocritical type that Chuckles just described. Probably the biggest evidence of Christian hypocrisy would be this whole idea that if you are a born-again Christian, right, if you become a born-again Christian, you're automatically going to heaven. If I gather from their professions, this is the idea, right? You accept Jesus as your Savior, and you are going to heaven. I think that's... Tony, would you say that's pretty much it?
Yeah, and it's the sinner's prayer, and you do that thing, and you're good.
Yeah, no matter how much of an asshole you decide to be after you accept Jesus for your Savior.
Or before, because remember that Jeffrey Dahmer, before going to prison, while in prison, became a born-again Christian and repented and was killed.
Right. And even more than that is, if I'm not... Now, I know this because I watched a movie about it. as well as having read the Bible, and as well as having read a few other stories on the subject. The 7 deadly sins, right? The ones that are supposed to guarantee you a trip to hell, like, do not stop on the way, do not pass go, you are going to hell, right? 7 deadly sins. If I'm not mistaken, the biggest one, the number one there is, by the way, what was that movie about where the serial killer duplicated the 7 deadly sins? That was the name of it? The 7 deadly sins? No. Anybody? I'm looking around here.
I remember.
Yeah, it had. Go ahead.
It was a horror movie, right?
Yeah.
I remember the scene with the gluttony and everything.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
You're
well,
not talking about Caligula by Hustler, are you?
no, we remember that for a few things other than the scenes of gluttony. But actually, I think everybody probably listening to this show knows the name of this movie except me, right?
Yeah, it's drawing a blank for myself as well.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, I'm not the only one whose brain is just kind of shriveling down the electronic tubes. But anyway, the point being that the chiefest of the number one deadly sin, the 7 deadly sins, and the name, and Psycho Eddie has come to all our rescues. The name of this movie I was trying to refer futilely to is 7, right after the 7 deadly sins. And chief among them, number one on the list, is the sin of pride. Now, what is more proud and arrogant than guaranteeing that you yourself are going to heaven? Now, I may not be the biggest churchgoer on this planet, at least not the Christian church, but I remember from my Catholic school upbringing that it was supposed to be God who had the final word on who goes to heaven, if I remember correctly, and I do. Now, that means that every single, and it does my heart good to say this, that every single born-again Christian who says that they are guaranteed going to heaven, they are going to burn in hell. So that means that every asshole that I have to listen to say that on this earth, I am going to get more than my share of satisfaction of watching them suffer for eternity. And and you talk about go ahead, Ed.
There is a very big caveat to what you're saying.
What's that?
You have to be right.
Well, I hope so. I'm going to be down there. I want to see these bastards
If
suffer.
you are following the beliefs that you have, they're following the beliefs that they have.
No, I'm following
So-
the beliefs that they have.
Well, you're following what you've been taught in a Catholic school.
And they're following what they've been taught by a crooked preacher.
Correct.
Same thing.
Now, DJ Psycho Eddie, you also went to Catholic
I am
school,
a
huh?
product of 12 years of Catholic schooling. Not only that, I am directly related to a Roman Catholic priest.
I thought he was going to say he was a product of 14 years of Catholic schooling.
Or a woman and a Catholic priest.
To include summer school, it was about 13 and a half years. But the only caveat to what you're saying is,
Okay.
now what you're saying is what the Roman Catholic Church has taught.
Okay.
Now, the way to get past the pride is why they come knocking on your door during the summer. You know, on a Tuesday afternoon when you're trying to sleep in, you
But
take
now
the day out of
that's
work.
now that's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Let's keep our nut
well,
cult
That's
separate
all.
here.
The born-agains go around, too.
Do they? Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them tried to help me by going into my yard with my two dogs to help me carry a couch out.
Did the dogs help him leave?
But I just basically told him when he put his hand on the gate, he's lucky he still has fingers on his hands, and please get away from my house. But the born-agains and the holy rollers, whatever you want to call them, they all have the belief that by going door to door, they're doing God's work.
Yeah.
So it's eliminating the sense of pride that, you know, they're the preordained destination where that they're going to heaven just because they're part of the club.
Okay. Well, first of all, I got so disgusted at one point with listening to the conservative Christians that I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the Bible, and I'm going to see exactly how close these people are to what it says in the Bible. I read the Bible from page 1 to the last amen.
Wow.
So, and I am here
That's
to tell
commitment.
you, it is. When I'm about to criticize people, I leave no stone unturned, and I will go to any length to be able to do so.
I've read quite a bit of the Bible, but I couldn't make it through the big guts.
Well, you have to really skim through those. I mean, skimming through the beguts is allowable. But the point is, it says in the New Testament that you do not get to heaven by works alone.
Correct.
So that cancels those bastards out right there.
well-
They can go door to door every country on this planet, fly to outer space, land on another planet, and go through all those doors. They're not getting in.
They're doing the work of the Lord by going door to door, which is part of their public service to try to recruit more people into whatever holy jalapeno religion they're running.
Part of. Right, they're leaving out a big part.
But if you read the Bible and take it literally, only 144,000 are going to be allowed into heaven. Now, my thought is, if you already got close to 130, shut up. Stop knocking on doors, because the person you recruit might, knock on doors better than you.
I'm going to take your spot.
Going to take your spot. You're
Well-
going to be on the sidewalk looking in purgatory with all the unbaptized babies.
No, limbo is, come on now, I thought you said 13 and a half years of Catholicism. Limbo is the unbaptized babies.
That's kind of like when I'm at the horror convention and a chick with gigantic boobs tells me she wants to do a show called The Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio. There's certain situations where she might take your spot.
And there are certain situations when I will let her.
Now, purgatory and limbo are actually interchangeable.
Nah.
Limbo is a spiritual state in between two states. Purgatory,
Yeah, it sounds like Rhode Island being stuck between New York and Massachusetts.
pretty much. Purgatory is the actual place in between heaven and hell, or the state of mind between heaven
That's
and
where
hell.
Dio lives.
Because I'll trump you reading the Bible. I've done it more than once.
Don't
and,
you curse in the name of Trump to me?
And have you ever heard of a little thing called the apocryphal books?
Yes, I have.
I have read them as well.
Wow.
I am
the year
impressed.
before-
I have dabbled with those, but I have never finished them.
It was a painful read, but you get the years between, I think it was 13 and 30. All that stuff that they cut out.
Well, I'll tell you that's one of the reasons I never read more of them, because if you want to read some stupid stuff, I mean, there's a reason those things are apocryphal.
What if
there's a reason those things were left on the cutting room floor when they
Because-
put the Bible
because
together.
they showed this person, Jesus, if you believe in him, he's the Lord and Savior. If you don't believe him, he's a guy named Jesus who lived in the Holy Land. However, it showed him as a real person. He was a child. Someone bumped into him, pushed him, whatever. Next thing you know, the guy's pushing up roses. He killed him, smote him, I think is the proper term, because he was pushed as a child.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to show that human side of the Lord and Savior of whatever, again, holy jalapeno religion you're following.
Okay.
By the way, send hate mail to Haunted Cabaret at...
I can attract my own hate mail. Thank you. But no, so I mean, all those books of Apocrypha did, and again, I haven't read all of them. You have, I haven't. But it seems to me that that's kind of like, when Stephen King's writing a book, there's always like 3 or 4 chapters that get left on the floor or in the desk because they're just not as good as the other ones. You know what I'm saying? You even want your supernatural horror to be convincing to a certain point. And which one was it of the Apocrypha that had a talking crucifix or a talking cross?
Hello, Davey.
Was that the... Yeah, I mean,
I'm
that,
not 100%.
Yeah, that's. I think might have been Thomas, because it seems like everybody has a gospel nowadays.
Yeah.
But there was one. It was a talking cross.
Gospel of Steve, I think it was.
Yeah, and that one was, surprise, surprise, no surprise at all, left out of the Bible. I think that's where I stopped. I said the Apocrypha. I'm not going to. Kind of like I've stopped watching so many 1950s black and white B horror movies because once you have your favorites, that's it. Mm-hmm. The other ones aren't really necessary.
Wrestling pay-per-views.
Wrestling. We're going to get to that after the. We're going to get to that, Tony, after the next.
The disappointment is widespread this evening.
I'll tell you. Yeah, Tony Jones, our producer, will actually be reprimanded by myself on this very program for wasting his time.
Long suffering.
And
I you guys know I have a hell of a time sitting still, and I watched from 6 p.m. to 12:05 a.m. I watched the whole pay-per-view.
Hoping for something good to happen.
Hoping to be excited.
And by the way, you'll all remember, I am a wrestling fan second to none. But I have given up these several years ago on WWE when it became the pro wrestling version of Disneyland. And I will expound more upon that and reprimand my fellow internet radiologists here after we get back to the music. This is almost better than listening to my bullshit. Let's listen to Amon Amarth, Tattered Banners and Bloody Flags here on the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio. All right, that was Amon Amarth, Tattered Banners and Bloody Flags off the Twilight of the Thunder God CD. Probably my favorite Amon Amarth CD. Now, that, in case you couldn't catch it through all those growl vocals, is the story of Ragnarok, the last battle between the Norse gods and the forces of evil led by Loki.
Oh, so it's
Now
not the
that-
battle between Thor and Hulkster?
No, it's not.
Oh, man.
No, Thor and Hulkster fought it out in the Avengers, as you well know.
They did in Ragnarok, too. The new one?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you saw that. It was
Not yet, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
You went and told. Don't give anything else away.
No.
He didn't have time to watch you. He was too busy reading the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Researching my enemies. But I haven't. No, I've heard good things about Ragnarok. I'm looking forward to watching that. That's one of the movies I'm saving up. I've got this little group of movies that I'm not watching, one at a time. I'm just going to indulge myself. Now, lately I've spent time watching old horror movies. Let's see. Last night I watched The Changeling with George C. Scott, which is kind of a creepy thing. I watched Attack of the Giant Leeches.
Nice.
Great movie.
I'll tell you, that might be one of my favorite movies. It's like a 50s B movie made on a budget of like $1.79. But I'll tell you that what it resembles to me is a found video movie.
That movie actually scared me when I was a kid, too. And
That-
then I watch it now and not so much, but
Yeah.
it freaked me out.
No, true.
I didn't want to go in the local lake because of that movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, whether it was accidentally on purpose, and it's not that scary anymore, but it does keep that eerie feeling to it. And whether it's on purpose or by accident, they made a nice, effective, atmospheric, creepy little horror show. No question about it.
You think it was an accident? You think they started making that and, just expected it to be typical B-movie crap at the time and, at the end was like, holy crap, we made a movie.
It could be. Now that's I think that was Roger Corman's brother that worked on that, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. I know it was the brother of somebody more famous that directed
I thought it was Roger Corman himself.
No, that wasn't.
No.
I was surprised. That wasn't Roger Corman. It was. I think it might have been one of his brother's few movies or somebody of his acquaintance. But maybe I want to say his brother. No, but it wasn't Roger Corman. It didn't have that Roger Corman cheesy schlockiness to it. Is like I say, this guy. Like I say, accidentally or on purpose. He left out the typical B movie schlock. And just made it reminds me actually of George Romero in feeling. It reminds me a little bit of George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Black and white, low budget, with serious intentions. Although in Romero's case, the serious intentions were on purpose.
Right.
The Leeches, I don't know. The other great thing about that movie is it's one of the few black and white 50s B movies that shows erect nipples through a T-shirt. Remember when they pull the woman in distress out of the water after she's been sucked on by the leeches for about a couple of hours. And, they drag her up out of the water, and she's wearing a wet shirt. And no question about it. Yeah, she is on display. I think that might be the earliest time that's ever happened. And I think that was an accident. I don't think they did that on purpose.
And then just left it in.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have any money for a reshoot. so they said, okay, we're going to just have to take our chances with the censors because we can't fix this. But yeah, that was probably accidental. The movie may or may not have been accidental, but creepy little movie. Then, unfortunately on purpose, I watched Space Amoeba, one of the Toho giant monster movies not involving Godzilla, which that had its moments, but that was on purpose, and it wasn't too good.
No, I don't think I would. I don't think I've ever heard of that one until you just mentioned it.
Yeah, it's no. I mean, it's one of the more obscure ones, and it has its moments. But I'll tell you one that is worth your time though is Matango, Fungus of Terror, which was released in America as Attack of the Mushroom People, which was from Toho, and it's not a giant monster movie. It's basically an adaptation of a famous author named William Hope Hodgson. His seafaring story, A Voice in the Night, and which is a really good story too. Anybody that still reads the written word, like I said, William Hope Hodgson, Voice in the Night. Read that before you watch the movie. You'll enjoy the story more. But Yeah, it's basically about people caught in a storm on a yacht, end up on an uncharted island, inhabited by these radioactive experimental mushroom people.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. And I also have this, once you watch the movie, you'll understand. I have this unsubstantiated theory, unprovable at this late date, that this Attack of the Mushroom People movie was the basis for Gilligan's Island. Seriously. Like, watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. It starts out with 7 castaways, a captain, a first mate, a rich guy, a movie star, and the little innocent girl. Yeah, it's close. I mean, there's no Mrs. Millionaire, and but there is a writer instead of a professor, a teacher instead of a professor. Really close, and the timing is right. I did a little research. The timing is right, so that just may be. Now, though, it's time to turn our attention to something much more important: the reprimanding of our own Tony Jones and whoever else wasted their time and effort watching.
And money.
Well, I was leaving. The money is obvious. I mean, WrestleMania. Okay, now I'm interested in Tony or anyone else even attempting to justify how many hours, Tony, did you sit in front of that TV?
From 6 p.m. to 12:05 a.m. And I was late. I missed one of the preview matches.
Yeah, you missed it. I was there actually from 5 to midnight,
Wow.
the whole thing. So I sat through got some snacks and everything, but I was in that recliner for a whole freaking 7 hours.
And let me guess, all those hours you ended up unsatisfied, like waiting for a woman that always threatens to put out and never does.
Like going to the titty bar and running out of singles.
There
Left
you
there
go.
unsatisfied.
Yep, and when you finally get a hand job, it ain't worth it. So did WrestleMania even give you a hand job?
Yeah, it had its moments. It wasn't total crap, but
Okay.
the later it got in the night, the more crappier it got. Instead of being backwards, instead of the pre-show being stupid and the first few matches being stupid, it was the opposite. What was supposed to be the main event was the stuff that sucked.
Right now, I understand the Undertaker was there.
Yep.
That was obviously one of the high points
Yeah.
if the
That was a high
Undertaker was
point.
there. So, am I safe to assume that any high points were a result of the old timers making one last visit?
No, some of the up and coming guys had some really good matches.
Okay.
And definitely the first couple, like the mid-carder titles that you would call them, like the Intercontinental and the
Right.
U.S. title, great matches.
Huh.
Now, when you even the main SmackDown's world title was great. It's just when you got to the last 2 matches of the night, it seemed to drop the ball like really quickly.
Okay, and the last 2 matches were?
It's tag titles for Raw and the world title with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. It tanked.
Yeah, and as soon as you say Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
I understand probably what happened without ever having seen a minute of it. Brock Lesnar never, ever, from when he first showed up, has never measured up to what they wanted him to be. I mean, skill-wise, storyline-wise, microphone skills-wise, he's always had. He you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of the old Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
Somebody who looks the part, looks ferocious, looks like a monster, and you're just waiting for him to have that match or that moment when he goes over the top and puts it all over, and he's the next name, and he's the guy that's going to carry the company, and it never happens, right? And so Vince McMahon and company are still trying to, make Brock Lesnar the next big thing.
Well, the fact that they're actually willing to spend money on having a manager for him when they've pretty much cut that out for everybody else tells you just how awful his mic skills are.
Right? Who's the manager?
Paul Heyman.
Okay.
Which, by the way, when Paul Heyman sold ECW, wrote into that contract that he's going to have a job for the rest of his life or as long as he wants. So they get to double down on that and give him something to do.
Yeah, but no, I've always thought that losing the managers was a bad move.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that brings managers and valets back to wrestling is a good move. Yeah, and you're right. The fact they're putting Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar, they're desperate. Make this man appealing
Please.
somehow.
It didn't happen. Ronda Rousey's match was great. She was one of the mixed martial artists that up and coming. She actually put on a really good match. I was impressed with her.
Yeah, usually people that come from other sports or other athletic activities, it's like they have a real hard time.
No,
transitioning over.
She
But
seemed to do really well. I think she'll be, if they keep her going, instead of making sure that she doesn't do like Brock Lesnar, where she only shows up part-time.
And she's legitimately a lifelong wrestling fan, as opposed to other people from other sports that are just looking for their next paycheck. You know,
right,
you
they
can
were
tell she
talked
actually
in,
wants
right, they
to
were
do
talked into it. Nothing better than to do.
Right,
Yeah.
Washed
Okay.
up football, washed up MMA. What can I do next?
Right, but she genuinely wants to be there.
Yeah, she got permission from Roddy Piper to use his gimmick before he passed
use
away.
his jacket.
So
Really?
yeah, so she's into it. She made even before she was going in, she was talking to Piper the whole time before he passed away. So yeah, so she's definitely into it.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Other than, let's see, Kurt Angle, I think, is the most successful example of somebody that came from an outside sport. In Kurt Angle's case, college wrestling. He came into the pro wrestling ranks and excelled.
Yeah, and he still did good for WrestleMania for being in the age he was.
Yeah, and for having a broken neck.
He still did outstanding during this match.
Yeah, and that's all I can say is that I'm just glad that luck, really, it's got to be luck that's with him, that's not breaking his neck again. Because one, like, it's common knowledge. One wrong move, and he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Have you ever seen his neck, though?
Yeah, it's not a pleasant sight.
But he's got so many muscles around that thing that I think he does that on purpose so that he's got more padding.
Try to
make
strengthen
sure
it
of
up a little.
Well, yeah, but
he's got, like my wife would say, he has no neck. He looks like a turtle.
Right at that point. Yeah, right.
That's why I keep such a big gut, because I just want to protect my internal organs, so I could take a blow.
Yeah, I can't think of many. Besides Kurt, Bob Backlund, he came from college wrestling also. He always didn't have the best mic skills or the best in-ring performance, but he did all right. I think Kurt Angle is the best example of somebody that came from outside pro wrestling and really, did a top-notch job at it, at his new profession.
Yeah, definitely did. There was Shelton Benjamin. They tried pushing him. He came from a wrestling background as well.
Right, and he looked good in the ring, but no mic skills.
No,
at least if I remember, there was something.
He's got the mic skills. He just has no charisma to him.
That might, because he always struck me as flat.
Yeah, he's very. There's a reason why he's a mid-carder, and they haven't put him in the upper tiers. He's just there.
And when you bring in so many guys with the same background like that, they all blend together.
Right. Well, the thing to do with Shelton Benjamin is probably, kind of like Edge and Christian. Christian wasn't quite up to Edge in mic skill, but so you put him with somebody with the charisma.
Yeah. You think that'd be the case, but they stuck him in a tag team right now with the other guy.
Somebody with even less charisma than him.
Less charisma, so you don't really care.
No, don't do that. Or if you absolutely have to, you have a triad situation. In other words, two guys in a team that have no charisma or no mic skills or something, but incredibly talented, and then you put them with either a third. I'm thinking of the Brood, Edge, Christian, and Gangrel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right, Gangrel was leading the Brood, or you do like the Paul Heyman thing with like they're trying. You put the third guy as the manager, or the third guy is the person is the valet, somebody that can talk for them,
or a hot chick.
Oh yeah, that's why I switched it to valet. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, don't just leave. Tony, we're experienced with people of negative charisma, so yeah, you never want to leave them out front by themselves for too long. It does not work out. All right, before too much time goes by, we do have a really great playlist for tonight's show, and we haven't really got started on it. Let's go back to the music. Let's do some old classic Judas Priest.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Turbo Lover here on the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio.
You won't hear me
was Judas Priest, Turbo Lover. And as I was talking to Chuckles, under the music, that's Judas Priest, but by no means the best Judas Priest. That is Judas Priest in the 80s, the synthesizer nod Judas Priest. And like I said, I like that song. I can't help but like it because of the awesomeness of the hook in it. It kind of like hooks me like, I don't know, what does it hook me like?
And in their defense, not many people were at their best in the 80s.
They weren't. It's
Few and far between.
Yeah, that's true. It's like everybody took lame-ass pills and just said, okay.
They just all decided, they got in the room to decide, listen, the next 10 years is going to suck.
Yeah, I mean, they, that obviously that, the Judas Priest, just took their 20-piece drum set and jammed it into this blender that put it into a bait and put it through some kind of drum synthesizer. And, it's amazing. I don't think there was anything recorded during the 80s that didn't go through a synthesizer. I mean, we're talking...
Even the Stones. The Stones put out some diarrhea.
They did. Although, like I say, I'm one of the few people on this planet that has a good word to say about Dirty Work. Yeah. The other albums they did...
The Stones don't like Dirty Work.
But, I mean, the Ramones albums from the 80s, synthesized.
Yeah.
Was Motley Crue's? I mean... I don't think they had...
During the 80s.
I don't think so.
Overdo it, man. They didn't do the whole...
Right. There was a presence on there. I'm not the biggest Motley Crue fan, so I couldn't really tell you album by album. But it's a good question.
I'll have to torture you with them now. Now that you said that, next week is one of my favorite bands. So you have to get some Crue. I
know that already.
Yeah.
But you know how much I hate bands that wear face paint. I mean,
yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, like I say, if Motley Crue managed to escape the 80s without synthesized rabble and babble on their albums and CDs, I mean, more power to them.
I don't think I've heard any of it on there. I'll be honest with you, and listened to a lot of Crue. Maybe I ignored it, but I don't remember hearing it be synthesized on there.
All right, maybe we have a band. Maybe we have a because I'm thinking, because even the 70s metal bands, the 70s punk bands, we won't even talk about Blondie. I don't know, it's the 80s. It is. It's almost like there was a conspiracy that said, let's all, like Tony said, let's all suck for 10 years together.
I think that was
like
more of a punk influence than anything else.
What, the synthesizers?
Well, not the synthesizers, but everyone's sucking.
Right.
Because if you look at it back in the 70s and early 80s,
okay,
the best bands, the better the band was, the worse they sucked.
You mean that?
It was like a rite of passage just to suck that bad.
Okay, in other words, genuinely suck, and that everybody believes that sucking is the thing to do, so that
sucking is the new cool.
Right, so people who suck don't suck, and everybody that doesn't suck sucks.
The more you suck, the better you are. It's the dichotomy of music. Well, at that point,
right. I understand completely.
People spend all this time learning an instrument and stuff. When back then, all you had to do is not play it good, and you would succeed.
Right, and that was kind of one of those. Because back in the 70s, people had like a crappy decade that was. We thought that was a crappy decade, but we hadn't seen anything yet as a country or a music nation. But in the 70s, by the mid 70s. People had gotten the idea that you're supposed to know how to play your instruments really, really good. And once they learned to play their instruments really, really good, we had bands like Yes making album side songs, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer making something that, I don't know, resembled throwing a classical orchestra into a blender. We had
with
things
a
like
synthesizer.
With a synthesizer. Yes.
Think about it. Iron Butterfly supposedly knew how to play. They threw out a 13-minute song where the guy was so inebriated he could not say the words "In the Garden of Eden." So that's how In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida came out, because he just could not pronounce the words. Hence the birth of suck rock.
See, that's a little known fact, though. That yes, it wasn't the first punks that put that what once sucked is now great and what is great sucks. What I just said. I'm not going to be able to go through that again. But so you're right. It was You're right. It was Iron Butterfly. That first. You are. You are, and yeah, and it wasn't. Now you could say, okay, well, along with in the late '60s and early '70s with Iron Butterfly, there were all kinds of garage bands like the Trogs, like all bands like that.
Yep.
But the difference is they kept it simple and they weren't trying to be, more than they were. It was Iron Butterfly that raised sucking to a new level by.
And then we still have a couple of rebirth bands, rebirthing suck. Like as in the Crinkly Ass Crackers.
right, locally, right.
They literally had a styrofoam head for a drummer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you go from there.
An empty head. Oh no, that was Iron Butterfly.
Or Dorian's drummer.
Well, yeah, Dorian had the plug-in band.
Right.
Crinkly Ass Crackers had a styrofoam mannequin head for a drummer.
Right.
I mean, the rebirth of suck rock is coming.
Right, but we won't know that it's really the jam bands came close. Some of them are really good. Some of them came close to the rebirth of sucking. We won't know that the rebirth of sucking is truly here though until we have half-hour long musical in quotation marks compositions.
Free-form jam bands that don't know how to play their instruments.
Right,
And
free-form jam.
Some of the jam bands are good up until they imbibe certain substances, and then they lose whatever knowledge they had of their instruments.
Right. Well, actually, I'm thinking more
Speaking of
like
those giant mushrooms.
free-form jam bands that have a hip-hop background.
Oh God!
Think about when that day comes, when we have jam bands from a hip-hop background.
So you're doing a modern-day Inagata-Davida with Eminem singing.
Not even Eminem. Eminem is the best of them.
Okay.
One of the best of them. I mean, we got the Eminem, we got DMX. I mean, put it this way. Come up with the worst hip-hop act you can think of.
Gathering of the Juggalos, all playing different instruments, the entire gathering.
No sampling.
No sampling, instruments.
Right, playing instruments they never played before until they decided to get together for this project.
And free jam.
Exactly. At a deafening volume so that they can't hear what each other's saying.
And a bunch of bad weed.
I thought that was a given with the word juggalo.
Yeah, but it is going to happen. The other thing that is going to happen is Psycho Eddie. We have a couple of minutes. Give us a preview of your epic, and I don't use that term lightly. The last time I used that term was probably for the Attack of the Giant Leeches. But what do you have going on now? Minutes from now.
Just minutes from now will be the 100th episode of My Night Out Radio. It's going to be a 2-hour spectacular. We have everything from Most Dangerous Men Alive to Tech 9. We got a little bit of Malicious Morbia. We've got 1031, both 1031s. Wow. We have Hell Yeah. We got a lot of local bands. Jupiter's Child will be playing.
Erp Snurple.
No, I do not have any recordings of Erp Snurple, and we're going to be going through.
He lives right around the corner. He'll come down.
And I'm also going to be talking about some of the best places I've gone to eat in the last 100 episodes.
I can think of probably a couple you want to bring to mind, but
Oh, you can see my screen from there, so yeah.
no, I'm looking sideways across it.
Oh, okay. Plus, I also have George Nasser, who is actually the person who came up with the idea.
This is all his fault.
Right, yeah.
My Night Out Radio.
Yeah, the man who came up with the idea that Psycho Eddie does much better.
And
Sometimes it happens, ladies and gentlemen.
and we have the Frenzy of Tongues. At least some of them are going to be in studio. So that's what we're going to look forward to in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, which leaves us just enough time for one more track on this show right here. So I'm thinking, what better way to transition out of my show into Psycho Eddie's epic 100th broadcast than celebrate it with a little bit of goat horror when Steel and Bone meet here on the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio. Nighty-night.
If it comes to From Monday to Tuesday, you don't have any fun. From Wednesday to Thursday, just gonna have more run. Friday and Saturday, you're always getting drunk. And Sunday, you stay at home and never go to church.
We have a full house tonight. Some of the people you're not actually going to hear from. We have Lisa Gorley taking pictures tonight. But the people you will hear from, we have the creator, the brainchild of My Night Out Radio.
It's all his fault. It's all his fault.
We have Mr. George Nasser. Right next to him, we have Brian from Frenzy of Tongues. We have George Tongues. Tongues. T-O-N-G-S. Frenzy of Thongs? No, that's at the strip club. That's actually, I'm going to talk about that later.
All right.
We have Mr. George Gorner. We have Chuckles the Clown and Mr. Tony Jones.
Full house.
Full house. And across, Food Services is actually sticking around. My wife is sticking around for the show tonight. Normally she just drops off the food.
Oh, she's
Like,
showing us the slides.
She came to drop off your divorce papers.
just for a little while, she'll be here.
She's giving us a visual of you, Eddie.
Yeah, it's about that thick. Anyways, once again, that was Whiskey Fire coming in, War and Glory. Now, I can't. First off, I got to thank you, George, especially because you came up with this. I don't want to sound condescending when I say it, but what were you thinking when you came up with the brainchild of My Night Out Radio?
Well, I wanted to give you something to do on Monday nights, first of all. But we always hung out in some of the different clubs, and we always chatted about what we did that week or what we have planned going forward. And I thought, let's share it with the world. So I think you've done a great job. Congratulations on 100th episode.
I got to tell you, if it wasn't for you for the first couple of episodes giving guidance, I would not have been able to even follow the format that I have now.
Great.
So, Brian, I'm just real quickly going to touch on you. We'll be touching you later as well.
Oh, that's what I was promised. So.
But I know you have a show tonight. Where is your show tonight? So when people are done listening to this, they can go and check out the show.
Show tonight is at Alchemy. It's at Alchemy,
Oh, cool.
yes,
Okay.
with a Vague Perception. It's not a Frenzy of Tongues show.
It's
not
Vague
a
Perception
The
show.
Frenzy of Tongues show. It's a Vague Perception show. Yeah.
Okay.
With Roadkill and someone else whose name escapes me. They're from San Diego.
Touring band, right?
A
Touring band, yeah.
Unfortunately, I have so many screens I can't figure out which one you guys are on. As everyone knows, I have to have something in front of me to prompt what I'm going to say next because otherwise I just won't remember.
Taught him well, didn't you, Judge?
That's it. The screen has
He's
to
a
be in
very
front of me.
quick learner.
But either way, I got to thank you guys for being here. George,
Yes.
what do you have going on?
What do
I'm just working my way around the table to get primed before I start rambling for.
Well, I really can't talk too much about the things I've got going on in these new. Be very careful what you say about pretty much anything. Times.
This is not a safe space. You can be offensive here.
Let me take my safety pin off. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I'm doing going forward more and more is developing Haunted Cabaret property. And, not only the show, not only the internet radio show, but as I've discussed with Chuckles, and I am in the process of working on some scripts for a video version of the Haunted Cabaret.
Okay.
And that's taken up plenty of my time.
Which, by the way, I just noticed we do have a live feed going on. Is that correct, Tony?
On the Facebook.com/RI Free Radio.
Alrighty.
On the notorious Facebook.
So if you want to see what we look like just huddled around this little table over here, definitely go on to Facebook /RI Free Radio.
If you just ate and you need to throw up,
Yes, we need to purge a little.
And you know that plenty of people are actually going to do this. So
Well, that's why I want them to see what we look like here.
interestingly enough, to that point, George, I was here the other night setting up a few things. I was here literally doing nothing, and we had hundreds of people watching on the web stream.
Oh,
just me doing stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not fooling. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, we could literally sit here and Ed could stop talking right now. Not another word for the next 2 hours, and those same people will watch us do it.
What a great time to be alive.
It is. It's a great country. It really is.
That is the joys of voyeurism, especially in this day and age. Yeah, I mean, If you go to any nightclub, any band not rehearsal, but any shows, you will see that blue glow hovering over most of the crowd, because even though they're there listening to the music, and this is one of the things I wanted to touch about, and we'll talk about when we come back from the first break, is when you go to a show, you always have a good portion of that crowd with the screen in front of them, and they're on Facebook or they're doing something else. They're not paying attention to the show.
No, which means you can screw up as much as you want. It's not going to make any difference,
Right.
which I find really reassuring.
Yeah.
That's
So
where we come in.
Less practice.
Now you can just lower your standards. Now, we're going to take...
That's not possible.
You need standards to lower them? Well, two things that have to be addressed. Number one, and if you're on screen, you can see this is real. I am cracking open the first of several beautifully chilled Pabst Blue Ribbons, if you listen closely.
Delicious.
That's the first one. It's going to be going down smoothly in just a few minutes. Number two, we're going to take a little break. Band's name is Times Expired. Name of the song is Chalk Lines. We'll be back in a minute. When before that we had Times Expired. I think that one was Chalk Lines. Now, we're going to backtrack a little to the first day I met George. And I got a really good story which almost had Mr. Jones throwing up at a venue in the middle of the floor. Now, we were doing, I think it was Banshee Fest.
Yeah, it was.
At the Armory in East Greenwich.
Yeah.
Now, I had already put on all my makeup, the clown paint and whatever, and I'm setting up for the day, so I had to get there early. The only people that were there were George, his daughter Ashley, and Ashley's friend Ashley.
Right.
When I got out of the truck, your daughter freaked out. I walked up to you and I introduced myself, and we took it from there. You put up some banners, you came back later on the day, but your daughter and her friend stayed the whole day.
Correct.
Well, I can't just do a show. I have to have fun. So I had this necktie with skull and crossbones. It was shiny metallic tie, black background. It was actually a sharp-looking tie for a nice rock and roller look. However, at the time I had cats, and one of the cats had pissed on it about 6 months before. So as I'm trying to put this tie on, oh my God, I can't put this on. So I just wrapped it on my mic stand. Well, it hit me. How am I going to have fun? I said, hey, I put it up to my nose. I acted like I sniffed. I said, I can't make out this smell. Can you smell this for me? Can you tell me what it is? And of course, you get the people, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. They take this big whiff of cat piss. Tony almost puked. Nurse Misery almost puked. I can't even tell you how many people I got to sniff the cat piss tie. The best part was I had spilled a beer on it. So now it's wet with beer and cat piss. I walked up to someone else, someone I had already gotten once before. I said, hey, I washed this out. Does this smell any better? And they sniffed it again. So that was my fun for, I think it was the first or second incarnation of the Banshee Fest.
Which did not take place again the next year, and there's probably a connection.
Could be.
So,
Did you tell them they were smelling, or did they just guess?
Oh, they kind of figured it out when they smelled it.
Well, they knew it was urine. They just weren't quite sure of the.
It was his.
What species?
Yeah, what species?
My first date with Justin, we're sitting in the movie theater, and I just, you get the first date nerves, and I'm wondering if I should hold his hand or not, and keep smelling a whiff of something. And it turns out before he left, a cat peed on his leg, and he didn't even change out of his pants. Totally true. Justin's not here because he's Captain Cancel, but he would usually be our guitar player.
It happens.
Yeah.
I am going to mention Davey Moore was supposed to be here. However, something did come up. Davey, if you're listening,
We'll have a shot for you.
we have the Jameson out somewhere over here,
Right here.
and we're doing shot. It would have been shots for you, but more for us. Sorry about
Right
that.
here.
Oh, what's that, Nathan? You want to say something? Oh, yeah, Nathan. Yeah. Nathan likes to talk too.
Now, across the table from me, just recently coming in, he came in a little bit late, is OG. Also one of the Frenzy of Tongues members. Come on, get a little closer to the mic. Just say hi to everybody.
Just the drummer.
Just the drummer.
Just the drummer watching
All
everybody.
right, that's enough.
tune.
That's enough.
Now, we're going to change gears suddenly on this one. We're going to be talking about food because we usually, when George and I first started off, the first thing we would talk about every week was food. And I haven't really changed that because I haven't really changed myself. I'm still a fat bastard. I still like food. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the places I've been to, but I'm going to go around the table first. George, one of your best meals or one of recent meal that really stands out to you? Well, it's up to you.
Honestly, so in my neighborhood of Knightsville, which we probably have the best restaurants in the state, other than probably some in Federal Hill, there's a couple restaurants. So Cucina Rustico is on Atwood Avenue.
Cucina Rustico, yeah, I've been there.
You've been there? And the other one is Benvenuto, which is on Cranston Street.
I have not been there yet.
Brand new Italian restaurant. Check it out.
Okay.
Very good.
recommendations? What should I be going for?
Anything on the menu.
Anything on the menu?
Ben was
Anything on
talking
the
about
menu.
opening a restaurant.
I'm sorry?
Ben, he'd been talking about opening a
Oh,
restaurant.
you know Ben?
Yeah, Ben Venuto. I went to school with him.
Oh, gee, I'm just going around the table.
Harry's Burger on Federal Hill. That's
The
really
Federal
good.
Hill one?
Yeah, that's really
Because you know they just opened one up in Smithfield too now, so you don't have to contend with all the traffic and BS.
Yeah.
It's worse traffic in Smithfield than anywhere in the state.
Yeah, but they have
Try to
parking
pull into
lots
that
out there.
plaza? Huh?
They have parking lots.
One way in and one way out.
You still have parking lots. Federal Hill, what do you have?
You got to pay now.
Parking meters.
Yeah, parking meters.
George?
Well, speaking of Federal Hill, was it Zuma?
Zuma, yeah.
Yeah, Zuma. Everything about my dining experience is wonderful except the dried out chicken, which is to say that everything from the minute I walked in, made a deal. Tremendous politeness. You felt like you were in a high class place. They made you feel like you were the king of the world. The bread and the oil, that was great stuff. Soup went down okay. Then the main course arrived, and I said, "Okay, let's go to McDonald's next time."
Was there bones in the chicken?
No, it was. You would almost think there were. That it was that.
There were a few places that we've gone to. Actually, my wife had ordered a turkey burger, and they asked her how she wanted it cooked.
Mhm.
As a joke, she said medium rare.
Okay, and they served it with the feathers.
Well, turkey is the same thing as chicken. If you cook it medium rare, there's that whole salmonella,
Yeah.
crap and blood thing going on.
Well, nobody asked me how I wanted my chicken, but it came out like basically, I could patch my shoe. Now, having said that, I've been there before. This was a return visit. The first time was excellent. I think I had some kind of.
This was an outlier. It wasn't.
Yeah, I don't want to finish my spot without saying that. I mean, this was so far a one-time thing.
Well,
so,
but
it
makes
still
mistakes once in a while.
Yeah, but it still makes me nervous because come on, chicken is pretty fundamental.
True.
I mean, what did they do to that chicken? To make it of that consistency.
I will go with overcook. Now, depending on what type of chicken it was, if it was a roasted chicken, it may or may not have gone awry. If it was a fried chicken, someone just fell asleep at the trigger.
Maybe the chef had to take a bathroom break.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think it didn't strike me as being a fried chicken. I think it was some kind of roasted chicken that just basically.
They might have just fallen asleep at the wheel and overcooked it.
Yeah, they were trying to extort money from the valet outside and all those unparked cars. Maybe.
Oh, either that, they were just beating the chicken for a little extra cash.
Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right
double
there.
entendre I didn't even mean.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Okay.
That would be Nason. Oh, yeah, that's a good place too, Nason. No, let me talk now. This is Jenkins. They call me Brian, but my name is Jenkins. And Poppy's Tacos and El Fuego down in South County. Burritos. Could eat a burrito a day.
I've been by there. I have not stopped in.
Which one? Poppy's or
Poppy's.
El Fuego? Poppy's
Actually,
is
both.
really good, and El Fuego is really good. If you go to El Fuego, Korean barbecue burrito.
Korean barbecue burrito.
Yeah. And if you go to Poppy's
We
Tacos,
are
anything.
taking notes.
Yeah, do.
By the way, KFC now stands for Korean Fried Chicken.
Nason,
Where's Poppy's located? Is that on
Budlong
Budlong
Road.
Road.
And there's one somewhere else too, but I don't know where.
We will be looking it up shortly. Now, I got a list over here because my wife and I sat down because, of course, my wife is my partner whenever we go out to eat, and 99% of the time. And if I go out with someone else, I can't talk about it on the air because she'll find out. I think I just let the cat out of the bag. Anyways, we had a few places that we really have to talk about. First one, Copacabana. If you're into the Colombian food, excellent food, is very meat-centric. If you like meat, this is the place for you. Put it to you, easier. I could not even come close to finishing half of what I got.
Damn.
And it was only like a $10 meal. Now, if you go onto their website, which I do have in front of me, the first thing you have to click on is the translate to English, because they are definitely a.
Where's that located?
This is at actually the old McNeil's, 888 Charles Street.
wow.
888
We all
Charles
know
Street.
where that is.
Yep. Now, what I got there was basically the mixed grill. It had beef, chicken, pork, sausage. It had a fried chicken that you could break a tooth on. It was so crispy.
Sounds like the same cook that Georgia said.
No. Just the breading was crispy. The rest of it was super juicy. I literally hit it twice with lime juice because they put limes on the side, and it was still crunchy after hitting it twice with lime juice heavily. Again, the food was excellent. When they opened the door, because where we sat, I could see into the kitchen. The old Colombian lady who was cooking had to be the waitress's mom or something like that. There was only two of them, and the waitress was holding down the dining room, which wasn't that big, only about 8 or 9 tables. And the mother was cooking, well, like a mother. She made sure I ate very well. They had the plantains, which I love, caramelized plantains, excellent. Now that was Copacabana, 888 Chalkstone Avenue, Charles Street. Sorry about that. Yes, I've already started doing shots. By the way, it's only going to go downhill from here. Another one, which we only hit recently, opened in October of 2015, is called Milk Money. Excellent brunch place, small plates, tapas bar, whatever you want to call it. We went there for brunch. We had deviled eggs. We had polenta and polenta and eggs, but it was like a very cheesy polenta. I'm looking over George. We had polenta and pork belly, and then you had, what's that? That's right. We had the grilled peppers, and long story short, everything's smaller plates. The Bloody Marys are damn near flammable. They were excellent. They have a good selection of vodkas and mixers to put into the Bloody Marys, and the food is excellent. Now, my breakfast problem, we'll call it a problem, is coffee. If you have a really good breakfast place, the coffee, 9 times out of 10 is going to suck. So whenever I go down to any place for breakfast and I get a good cup of coffee, the meal is already suspect because most places will do one or the other. They don't do both. And if you get both, it's a freaking unicorn.
See, that's why I participate in the show, for these insights. No, until you said that, that never occurred to me, but it's 1,000% true.
So now Dunkin' Donuts is making sense to you?
No, Dunkin' Donuts
is horrible coffee and horrible sandwiches.
Except for when we used to go to Bigford's back in the day, where both the coffee and the food were just awful.
But
it was open.
But we appreciated the consistency.
Oh yeah, they were very consistent with their food sucking.
No, the consistent thing about Dunkin' Donuts is that when you open the door to go in that hallway, it usually smells like dirty mop water. Yeah. And then when you taste the coffee, the coffee tastes like dirty mop water.
It's got to go somewhere.
And come from somewhere.
Yep. There were a good sign when the mop water has a peanut in it.
Wow, Tony's going off the deep end quickly. I'm going to talk about one more, and then we're going to go to another break. This is another rule that we have around here. The more you're taking your life into your hands,
absolutely,
the better the food is going to taste. Now, there's a place on the corner of Oxford Street and Broad Street in Providence. It is a very ethnic neighborhood. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a Latin American, Puerto Rican restaurant. It's called Carolina Market Restaurant. Unless you know Spanish, just enough to get you through, you're going to have a hard time ordering. Luckily, I, being the fat bastard that I am, I learned about the food, not the curse words first. So I went in there. We had sancocho, which is basically a cow hoof soup. We had
say that again.
Cow hoof soup. Don't
Nathan likes that too.
Don't knock it till you try it. A lot of cilantro, a lot of potatoes, and yucca inside. Mofongo, which is mashed plantains with shrimp. Mofongo? Yes, you can. Scientific term, industry standard. We had pork chops, and we also had fried pork chops, which are chuletas, and we had the chicharrones, which is basically where you get bacon running into bone. They just take big chunks of that and chop it up, deep fry it. It is excellent. When you're done, you might want to take, I don't know, nitroglycerin, because it is fatty. It is so unctuous. The flavors are amazing, but you know it's it'll definitely set your cardiologist on red alert. But worth it. Now, my wife and I ate 4 meals out of what I ordered because, well, she wasn't with me. I ordered. We took the phone home, and we. Well, long story short, it was only about $20, $25 worth of food. We ate 4 different meals. So
Now, for your listeners who have the palate of 10-year-olds, which is what I do, when you say bacon, is that a cut? Like, how does bacon go back to the bone? I've only ever seen it in strips.
well, when you take the area that they make bacon out of,
Which would be?
the pork belly,
Oh, okay.
and then it wraps around towards the ribs.
Gotcha.
Well, where it starts hitting the ribs is where the chicharron comes out. So they take a big, about inch by inch block, about 6 inches long, and deep fry it.
Oh, yeah.
Deep fried bacon. How do you go wrong?
Yeah.
So, we just had Sean, former Cretan 3 member, current
He moved on up.
Frenzy of Tongues member.
Dr. Tony.
He just joined us. We're going to get him settled in. We're going to talk about a little bit more food in just a little while. We're going to leave here with a band that I love working with. I know he's good for George here is good friends with them. It's the Most Dangerous Men Alive. The name of the song is Lose Control. We'll be back in a minute.
Smoky haze that fill my head.
do that, Dave. Before that, we had Most Dangerous Men Alive, Lose Control. Now, I got a few shout-outs of people that are watching, and people have sent some things they want to advertise. First off, the Arctic Playhouse, upcoming event, 13 Rue de la Mort. Thank you guys for...
Rue d'Amour.
I think Jameson has taken control of my tongue and not rolling my R's properly. However, I can say pajama party at Club Fantasies.
You will be there, right? You will be there.
I would like to be there, but it's a Thursday night. I can't play on a school night as much as I used to. But April 12th, starting at 7
it's this
p.m.
Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday, Club Fantasies party, complimentary steak fry.
Oh.
Free steak dinner. How do you go wrong?
That's awesome.
With all the fixin'. Topless twister, spin the bottle, and other slumber party favorites. Prizes for the best jammies.
I like the idea of the
That
steak
sounds
fry.
delicious.
I like the idea. I like the idea of the steak fry, but a lot of strip clubs don't serve roast beef sandwiches during their steak fries, do they?
You always have to go there. No, I can honestly say I've
Sponsored
been
by
going-
Waltz.
I've gone to Fantasies since early '90s. Really, I used to work there. They actually have really good food, which sounds kind of weird. Trust me, I have a very expanded palate along with a waistline. But the food there has always been really good. The owner, Frank, has gone out of his way to make sure the food has been excellent.
Justin, when we bring in a new member, we make Justin go on a date with him. So Justin went on a date with Sean to Fantasies, and Justin could not stop talking about it. Yeah, no, remember, right? You had to tell him to shut up, Nathan. Yeah.
Wow, Nathan's just full of comments today. We're going to change the subject because we've been talking about food for quite a while now. Shit's going awry in the corner. We won't even talk about that. Now that we have at least 3-4 of the members of Frenzy of Tongues here, you guys have a show coming up on Saturday.
Yes, we do.
You want to expand? Because
The mystery
I would love to. It's called Punk de l'Amour. And no, it's Give Winter the Boot at the Cove up in Worcester. One of the finest establishments you're ever going to get a chance to play in. Our best buddy there, Ted running an awesome place there. We'll be with Ginger Wolf and us and Ginger Wolf and a whole lot of other bands that are really awesome that I don't remember. And I see you quickly looking through there,
Just a
but
primer.
it's not coming up.
the next time you guys are going to do a radio show, you throw a few links into like Messenger,
Does-
and I'll have it up on the screen.
Does anything about us strike you as knowing what we're doing?
Well,
prepared
there's a
in
first
any way.
time for everything.
Sean's been to one practice and he knew we were playing more than we did. So
Well, because he's new, he wants to fit in with professionalism.
yeah.
It's all about impression.
So, can you extrapolate on this at all, or we're just going to go back?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what do you want me to talk about? So
They're playing a show at the Cove.
we're playing a show at the Cove, which is
Formerly
formerly the Lucky Dog, and before that, Sir Raleigh's Cove. Before Ted the Man from the Excrementals, one of the most fantastic bands ever. You should have him on, but he works, so he probably can't make it. He took it over about a year and a half ago, and has turned it into a showcase, a gem of Worcester. Worcester is by far one of the coolest places to play around this southeastern New England, or would that be central? I don't know. I'm just going off on a tangent about geography, but yeah, Worcester is the place
And a
to
great
be.
food scene.
And a great food scene. Fantastic pulled
I was
pork
just gonna
sandwiches
mention-
down the road.
Well, food services, craft services did stop by. She's still sitting in the corner. During break, if you guys want to hop up, we do have pulled pork, cornbread, and homemade bread.
It smells delicious too.
The good kind of brownies, the
special.
Massachusetts brownies, the Boston brownies.
I'm always a little reticent to eat before a show. I'm playing with Vague Perception at Alchemy with Roadkill and another band from San Diego because I don't want to use a club potty. But I may. It smells so good, and the cornbread with jalapenos, I may partake.
I gotta ask. seeing we're on the topic of Frenzy of Tongues, how did Frenzy start? Because I've been a fan of Frenzy. In fact, I still have the scarf I was given at a St. Patrick's Day show where I was downing 2 beers at a time. And I don't remember the whole con.
When in Rome.
Well, it happens. I came home and it's like, oh crap, I got a purple and pink scarf on my neck.
So what's the question? And it's the Frenzy of Tongues. I'm sick and tired of people saying Frenzy of Tongues. And it's if you're going to shorten it, it's the Tongues or the Fots. It's not the Frenzy.
How did the Fots...
Or the FOTs works too. They started, OG, you should take this one. Because OG was there from the beginning. This is OG's band. We actually had an argument a couple of weeks ago between Nathan and I. He says it's my band. I said it was his, and then I realized it's actually OG's band. Because he's the only one with any musical talent in the band.
It was just me and Justin who started.
It's called a microphone. He's a drummer, folks. So sorry. So move the microphone. That's the red thing close to your mouth.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, me and Justin started it quite a while.
And what was the name? It was Shrapnel, I believe, right?
Yeah,
And,
it was.
And they used to play Tool covers until they found out what Tool songs were about.
Yeah,
and
then we stopped. Yeah,
and they
we
stopped.
we had some shitty, bands there, band members,
Oh my God. So anyway, I started playing bass, and that's when they got good. And we couldn't call ourselves the Frenzy of Tongues because we had a singer who would not listen to me and didn't buy the fact that the Frenzy of Tongues is a great name for a band. So we were Short Drop Method UK for a while, and then we made fun of him so much that he quit.
Yeah, you made fun of him.
Justin and I made fun of him so much, and he quit. And then we were asked to put a song on, what was that, the Adrenaline Crew DVD?
Yeah. Yep.
These motorcycle nuts. And so when I sent it in, I didn't tell anybody. I just changed it back to the Frenzy of Tongues. And we've just been growing since.
Okay. Now,
I wasn't done.
Oh, okay.
And then... No.
All right, keep messing with the drunk fat kid. Okay, no problem. Now, I got to ask you this. You have a very unique stage show. I've seen a couple of shows where I've actually been hit with Chinese food.
Yeah, they don't let us do that anymore.
Yeah, how did that come about?
Well, we have a song, Chinese Buffet, because we write about life. We're street, we're real, we're like crusty, but not crusty because we all have jobs and stuff. And one of the earliest songs was Number One Buffet, based on the lamented Number One Buffet in Middletown, the only reason to go to the East Bay. And it just started. We'd bring food for everyone to enjoy, and for some reason they started to pelt us with it. And it was glorious while it was happening, let me tell you. It was like being on ice.
It was impressive. The only way I could put it was impressive. Now, as luck would have it, I have the full album you guys have released.
Oh, sorry.
And one of the songs I had picked out for tonight is Number One Buffet. I'm pretty sure, unless you've seen them live, you've heard it here first here on My Night Out Radio. We'll be back in a minute.
When we get hungry, there's only one thing we like to do. Drive to the buffet to have some delicious Chinese food. Maybe some chicken fingers or crab rangoon will hit the spot.
gates of hell opened and closed quick. Her rig burst into flames before anybody came. When they found her corpse, it was burnt right to her crisp. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died. And then she died. Sometimes a breeze does blow in that gives a shiver right down my spine. I think of her ghost when I smell burnt toast. My over easy eggs could be her eyes, and my breakfast plate is as big as her face. I wish I could see her from the other side. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died. And then she died. And then she died. And then she died. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died.
That was, well, we're going to start off with the Frenzy of Tongs #1 buffet, followed by Frenzy of Tongs. What was that, Nathan? Oh, okay. Nice of you to say that. The second one was criminal element. Wow. Hold on, let me fix that. Okay. And thirdly, we had Tony Jones and the Cretin 3, or Tony Jones and the Jerk Tones, depending on when that was recorded.
Now that's a good band.
Jerk Tones or?
Both of them. Anything
Both of
with
them.
Tony Jones.
I agree.
Isn't this his radio station?
I got another $8 coming. that album.
gonna watch out.
That album also went
Thank you,
aluminum.
Spotify.
And that name of that one was Large Marge. Now we're going to take a foray. We're going to take a foray back into the food for just a little while, because there is a restaurant that I have to tell you guys about. Actually, two of them. One of them is in Puerto Rico, because I know George is going to be going to Puerto Rico shortly. Oh no, you just came back. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to tell you about that one then. Oh. Anyways, if you know where they
Soon enough.
where they invented the pina colada, the name of the restaurant is called Barraquinha. It's right on. When you get off the cruise ship, you go up 2 streets, take a left on Calle Fortaleza.
Calle Fortaleza.
Yeah, what he said.
See.
I'm speaking drunkenese now. Just let me flow.
Okay.
Anyways, it's where they invented the pina colada. However, you don't get the pina colada there because they suck. They're in like the Sandy Serve 6000 ice cream machine. They just warmed it up. Yeah, you order a pina colada, they just pour it out of the sauce. It sucks.
Can you at least get caught in the rain?
We're not going to go down that road because we're going to be talking about the frozen mojitos. The special frozen mojito, because they Sandy serve the hell out of that one. But once they get it in the glass, they float a Passoa, which is a passion fruit liqueur on the top. Food there? I don't know, because I drank so many of those. My tongue, you could have shot me and I wouldn't have felt it. So, that's one of the places I got to tell you about in Puerto Rico. Now, I am talking about when I travel. I do a lot of traveling, more so than most people. The other one I got to tell you about is Wonderland. Now, if you probably heard, if you're a foodie, if you're into the food porn, about molecular gastronomy, where they deconstruct an olive to only make it look like an olive again, but they concentrate the flavor of 100 olives into one, and it has the consistency of an eyeball. It sounds gross.
Wow.
It sounds gross. I'm not going to lie to you.
Sounds delicious.
But
I do not want that in my face.
Sounds like fantasies again.
That sounds like your first date with Justin.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The texture of an eyeball.
No. The restaurant itself is a Alice in Wonderland theme. So when you go in, you have these huge chairs, very ostentatious, very stellar, if you want to call it that way. There's a lot of silver. Everything is unique, is the only way I could put it. And like the music that's coming through the floor right now. I don't know if the people on air
No,
who
you
are
can't-
listening.
you can't pick that up.
They can't pick that up? Good.
Luckily.
Oh, God, that sucks. Anyways, they take...
I, from the guys in the parking lot, that music makes no sense.
I know. They do some very unique stuff. They actually
go
have
with meth.
a liquid. They do a liquid olive with a puff.
Sean, our newest member,
giggling?
is making fun of the classical music, and I have to point out he's wearing a turtleneck.
Yes.
So really, and if he'd worn that to the audition,
He came straight from the Arctic Playhouse.
Yes, I did.
Anyways, they do focus a lot on the molecular gastronomy. They have a smoked buffalo. Wow.
a smoked buffalo.
Balls.
No. It's
Rocky
eyeballs.
Mountain oysters.
it's an egg.
It's an egg from a buffalo.
Ugh.
See, you guys got me laughing. Now I'm just losing my train of thought. It is a deviled
Buffalo
egg.
gal.
It's
Yes.
a deviled egg. Well, it's a buffalo deviled egg, and it comes smoked, which totally blows your mind because when they open the cover, the smoke comes out and it looks very ornate, very pretty, and it tastes awesome. But by the time when you start, you only get these little dishes, and as you go, the dishes get bigger and bigger until when you're done, their last course they bring out it's a piece of a beef rib, which is about the size of my forearm. Which if you don't, if you're not here, you won't realize that I have very large forearms. Don't mention why I have large forearms, Tony Joes. Thank you very much.
He also
Your vision
can't.
is perfect.
He also can't see.
I don't get it.
Okay, I'll just skip this one, guys.
No. Was it the
No.
was it the terroir beef?
Terroir of beef,
Terroir
along with the
beef.
Berkshire pork belly.
Oh, yeah.
They do have some excellent things, but when you try to explain it, you can't because it is just mind
We
blowing.
see that.
Well, I can't explain anything right now because my
We're
tongue is
witnessing the
twisted.
struggle as we speak.
The struggle's real.
I have heard of the unexplainable. Now I am seeing it demonstrated before me.
It's actually painful to try to think of the words. It's hurting my brain to think of what I can use to describe how good this is.
We've gone into an H.P. Lovecraft seminar over here. Hurting your brain to describe food. That's what I wouldn't have. I would not have believed it of you.
It is very difficult because it's one of those once in a lifetime meals.
Right.
Well, actually, you can, every time you go on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Well, sure you can get it, but yeah.
Just the cost to get to the restaurant. You're starting off around $2,000 to $2,500 for a cheap room on a cruise that will have this restaurant.
Right, for the purpose of this restaurant.
Just to
I was
get there.
hoping this was in Providence.
No. Actually, I'll tell you about Gracie's in a few minutes, which was amazing. And my wife's giggling in the corner.
He went on a mandate.
Yes, I went out with a friend of mine.
Uh-oh.
A guy.
Brunch bros.
Uh-oh.
What's
Sausage
up,
fest. Sausage fest.
It was Justin, and sorry to tell you, you cannot join the Frenzy of Tongues.
Oh.
Anyway,
Bad report.
once you get on the cruise, it's another $45 just to go to this restaurant, $50 just to go to this restaurant. So for two people to go to this restaurant is going to cost you roughly almost $3,000.
Yeah.
It's very exclusive. Not everyone's going to be doing this to try this restaurant.
Okay, but
if you happen to find your way onto a Royal Caribbean cruise that has Wonderland.
right before you can describe a thing, though, we need to identify it. What is this called?
This is called molecular gastronomy.
Okay, we got that's the only part that I followed.
But there was a buffalo involved.
That's where I got lost.
The music just got very dramatic.
The buffalo
And the egg.
The buffalo deviled eggs that are it's a smoked buffalo deviled egg. And it's just all right, guys.
You know, OG got married on a cruise, and that's the only time I've ever been on a cruise. And I have to say, the caviar was mushy, and I will never go on another cruise.
Wow. Because
Never.
of caviar?
Yeah, caviar has to pop.
I know.
It has to pop, and it was. I couldn't believe it. Like I don't know why you guys spend your money on cruises. Even with what you just tried to describe, yeah, not for me, because it fell down on the caviar.
All right. If you want something a little closer to home, then you're
Please.
not going to go on a cruise. All you have to do is go to downtown Providence, a place called Gracie's. Yes, as my wife is giggling in the corner. Yes, I went out with a friend. The food was excellent. I had rabbit cassoulet, which is rabbit beans and sausage. Don't knock it till you try it. You sound like Tony here. I also had grilled octopus.
I just hit a rabbit on the way over.
Oh, nice. You should have brought it down.
Come on, let's bring it
Still
to
good?
Gracie's. We brought our own.
Between the martinis that we had before and during dinner, then I had the octopus, then I had the rabbit. I was stuffed. But you know when you have to try something? I wanted one of the desserts. It was just screaming my name. You have to have it. And as luck would have it, my friend Aaron, who I've known for 30 some odd years, also wanted the same dessert, and he was in the same boat where he was stuffed.
Oh my God! Did you split a dessert?
Two spoons, please. 2 spoons.
Eddie, I want
Thank you, Justin. I'm having a lovely evening.
Eddie, I want you to know that voids your contract here at Rhode Island Free Radio. Please leave.
Hey, Justin. Oh wait, I'll be Ed. Hey, Justin. Justin, which spoon is mine? I forgot.
The big spoon.
2 straws.
All right, guys.
Two guys, 1 dessert.
2 guys split dessert, and you think that's funny? Yes.
Yes. It's comic genius.
I gotta get composure back now. I can't talk.
You didn't split a salad, though, huh?
No, that was tossed.
We don't make friends with salad. We're gonna go a little on the unique side because it's been unique the whole night. By the way, we are an hour and 15 minutes into this show. This is the longest episode of my.
Yeah, this is your first double show, right?
First double show.
Seems like it's been an hour.
More coming.
It only seems like a week.
But we're gonna leave here with a little bit of. We're gonna change gears. And we're gonna leave here with a little bit of Tech 9.
Tech 9.
Tech 9. Caribou Lou. We'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate party flavor, baby. Yeah, 2 cups and get a hot and out of a clothes, you know. Caribou Lou, it's like 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu. Caribou, get them all now. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. Don't stop till the cops come. Half a bottle of 151 off in a jug, 1 cup of Malibu rum, baby that's what's up. Then you fill the rest of the jug with pineapple juice and it's cracking. The only defect is waking up like what happened. I like red light parties and fed right bodies who like red like Dolly and head right toddies at night. Era bouquet, oolay, terrible day. You pay the liquor store teller with no hair to pay. Touche, get the party jumping, keep the hotties humping. I like them thick and juicy, so don't Pilates nothing. Drinking too much, Lou, you might be karate punching, or at the back at the club attending the naughty luncheon. Satin Kool-Aid gives you hella 151. November dog, so run, kitty, run. We gon' drink it until we dumb, diddy, dumb, bum, biddy, bum. Here Kansas City comes, so give me some. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu. Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. We gon' party till the cops come. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu. Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. Don't stop till the cops come. I see double, I see triple, might be trouble, might see pistol. We ain't tryna hear you haters sucking on sickles. We living it up in true sizzle. One do you made, bro. until your day go. Why I'm the one to drink you under the table. And all the ladies I will do in time. Once you become a member of my drinking club, you will find. Trying to tell her, truly get nudie. Yes, I even do L words, and they fruity bazooty. Like to drink it and yell slurs at the movies. If I'm heated, I'm off to get a Carabulu to cool me. By Technizzle and T-Wizzle one high day we mixed it up and then I say we treat Carabizzle like our lady. Originated in Kansas City, Missouri since 1995, baby.
151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. Don't stop till the cops come. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. We gon' party till the cops come. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. Don't stop till the cops come.
Tarbender, I need a druther nink. Release Carabulu in a party, it's utter kink. Insane manie, keep them coming, then I'll remain zany. Cause Sadate, baby, I'm trying to make you my main damie. For the rest of the night, girl, you're sexy, you're tight. Come to we casa and see these shock reflection, you're right. Groupies at 12 o'clock, man, I crawl, I go. Yeah, I'll recruit them, but I bet not crap, that's all I know. Yep, in my white tee and Nikes, you might sight me slightly, hyphen, might see dry heave. Die, we shall not need IVs beside me, Siamese. Check, you're not making any sense. I might make the one I saw, wing a Prada, but once I get up on the mic and do my thing, I gotta. Hey, better, saw wing a Prada. He can it, so wing a Prada.
151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. We gon' party till the cops come. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. Don't stop till the cops come. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. We gon' party till the cops come. 151 rum, pineapple juice and Malibu, Caribou, get them all numb. Make baby girl come out of a shell and raise hell. Don't stop till the cops come.
Shout out to Carabulu, cause I drink it, but I ain't paying me for it. Not yet. Strange music.
This is an audible addiction. Yeah, to help your infliction. Relaxation is the key to success. Don't let life beat you with all of the stress. Can you feel me, everybody? Let the energy flow. Clap your hands in the air and then stomp this glow. Put the hole in the pavement. Break free from your chains of enslavement. Embrace the moment, let the music consume. You feel the rhythm take control and set your soul free. Fly free tonight. Put your worries to the side, gonna be alright. Relax, let's heal. Breathe in and exhale. Feel the positive, put your negative away, and this is your chance to come out and play. So close your eyes and visualize a white light that'll take you up through the sky. Find peace in your mind, don't live your life blind. There's still a chance to be one of a kind. This is an audible addiction. Yeah, to help your addiction. Relaxation is the key to success. Don't let life hit you with all of the stress. So move your body, let's stop this party. DJs help get the people rowdy. Stomp your feet, clap your hands, raise the energy and just give in. Let me tell you something at home might be bomb until I put my music on and I get to bumping boogie woogie. Look at me, I look so pretty, dancing dirty, prancing nerdy.
Caribou Lou.
Tech 9.
Now, while we were off the air, a very unique subject came up about bathroom etiquette. Now, I've been known to go out of my way, especially when I'm in my clown makeup, to freak people out. I will go into the men's room, and there could be 20 stalls. If there's one person there, I go right next to them, unzip, and midstream I turn my head to whichever side they're on and start a conversation.
All right, now Ed,
start giggling.
Now my first question would be: now is your genital area also in makeup?
Wow. Not always.
Sometimes.
If I'm going to expose it.
Right.
He uses one of the red microphone covers.
Actually, if you notice how yours is hanging,
It's not a condom.
That's 'cause it is. Now,
I thought the mic smelled a little salty.
Now, as we were having this conversation, Nason told us a little story about the bathroom habits, and well, we're gonna have Brian here. Translate.
Well, is it okay, Nathan? Okay. You sure? Okay. So Nathan had been with the band probably 3 or 4 times, OG? Yeah. OG? What?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. 3 or 4 times we were playing up at our good friend's show, Kim Lee, at the Chain Link Fence up in Bow, New Hampshire.
Oh, I missed that one.
No, you were there. Yeah.
I missed
He just
playing
doesn't.
it.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said you missed it. And what were we talking about again? I know what we were talking about. I'm just pulling your leg. No, but
That's
now
not
I
his
really
leg.
forgot.
But you can pull it hard.
So New Hampshire's a bit of a drive, and Nason, he likes to drink Red Bull and stuff, and the caffeine's a diuretic, and okay, so it's not diet Red Bull, Nason. Just let me tell the story. So we stopped at the rest area, and those who had to answer the call of nature went into answer the call of nature. I didn't have to because I have the constitution of like a god. I can hold it all day. It's neither here nor there. Just wanted to point that out. Now, Justin went into the urinals, followed by Nathan. And I realized we're still starting to get to know Nathan. And we love you, Nathan. Yes, we know you love us too. And Justin turns, and Nathan takes the urinal right next to him, and Nathan's got his pants down around his ankles like a little kid. And that's why he can stay in the band, even though he...
I don't even know what was that, Nathan? Oh, I see. He wants more music, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know how to follow that up. So we just got to go to more music here. Now, we lost one of the members of this band a little bit early this year, but we still play their music because they rock out. This is Blindside Thunder. The name of this one is Tequila. We'll be back in a minute.
Wicked on the wicked.
Pistol Shot Gypsy. Name of that one was called Slave Yourself. Before that, we had Blindside Thunder. Name of that one was Tequila. And yes, I did bring up Andy Caprice. Is this how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Andy Caprice, he passed away from cancer just a little while ago. So we're going to take a sharp right-hand turn from food, music, to...
Santa?
No. We're going to talk about shitty music.
Okay.
Of people who actually play shitty music on purpose.
Okay.
Well, I don't. Well, now, Ed, that might be a contradiction in terms, because it's kind of like, playing shitty music on purpose doesn't have to be by accident.
No.
So is this room filled with two bands that play shitty music as a hobby? And I'm the common denominator, so I guess I suck?
We're going to start off with the original shitty song that spawned tons of other really crappy music. People who played it or actually took their opportunity to not learn their instruments to play music. Originally, it was, if you remember, Iron Butterfly, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
In the Garden of Eden.
Exactly. It was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden, but he was so high, so messed up on whatever substances he was on.
My idol.
He could not form the words with his mouth in the Garden of Eden. So he mumbled In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Now, this reflects back onto a conversation Tony, George, and I had last week of it's better to be done than perfect. So instead of trying to do another take after he sobered up, because they spent all this money on to rent the studio, they said, all right, let's just run with it. And it turned into In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
And we still have angry ferrets playing the piano downstairs.
Oh, there's a ferret stuck in a piano. Now, George and I we raised upon this a little bit on your show, but, I'm a sucker for stealing stuff from other shows. Now, we extrapolated, talking about the punk sound, late 70s, early 80s, as we were getting out of the hippie music. Where
Thank God.
I know. We're not doing the folky sound anymore. We're doing that punk sound. We're being aggressive. And we got into real crappy, where people purposely would not learn their instruments. And okay, let's get up in front of the stage. We've never practiced. We've never even been like all five guys in the same room. Let's play a song.
CBGBs every day.
Yeah. Well, what happened was it started with people that weren't deliberately not learning their instruments. They just didn't know them.
And they were they were usually too high to even bother to
well,
learn them.
Well, is in the acid rock thing, but I think Ed's talking about a little later when we transitioned the late.
From bad rock into the punk sound where it was cool to suck.
Right, but only
Punks did cheap drugs.
Right, but only after the fact though. Because let's keep in mind now, with a nod of respect, the Ramones were the original band that could hardly play their instruments.
Yeah.
Now, and look, because the reason was they just wanted to play.
Yeah.
They didn't realize they sucked.
No.
Because now, if you listen to our music history, the Ramones originally wanted to sound like the Beach Boys and the Bay City Rollers, and they wanted to have a bunch of hit singles,
That was Joey.
and they wanted to get rich.
Yeah.
It was actually, Sean, I hate to say it, but it was a whole bunch of them. It was the whole bunch of them. Especially Johnny Ramone, actually.
Well,
Not so much Joey. He was the money guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the only reason the Ramones don't sound like the Bay City Rollers or the Beach Boys is because they couldn't. They just picked up their guitars and bass and drums, and it just didn't sound like the Beach Boys.
No.
Well, for one thing, they had to write the notes on Dee Dee Ramone, the neck of his bass, so that he would hit the right root of each chord. But no, see, that wasn't deliberate.
Sometimes.
Right, sometimes. And sometimes they just turned down the sound.
Yeah.
Right, but see, that wasn't on purpose sucking. That was trying when you didn't have the skill to do it. That's how punk actually got started. Then after the Ramones...
And we can thank Hilly for that, too, the actual owner of CBGBs.
Right, but see, the thing with the Ramones is they quickly got better. You know what I'm saying? In other words, they wanted to get better.
They
progressed.
From suck into decent.
Right, it was bands like the Slits and things like that.
We were talking off the air about the Pissed.
The Pissed, right.
Television.
Right, so they got the wrong idea. They thought that sucking was an end in itself. See, and Yeah,
The
for a
goal
while.
was they were the original hipsters. The goal was to suck.
Right.
Yes.
But consciously to suck.
Right. On purpose.
Exactly. And that's where you get the on purpose sucking. Right.
Well, then we fast forwarded to modern day, where we had bands like Crinkly Ass Crackers.
I love the crinkly ass crackers.
The best show I ever saw. They set up a full drum kit, and they put a styrofoam head.
The head with the
for a
mohawk.
drum.
Yeah.
That was their drummer. Then we had Dorian James, who plugged a square box in. He said, "What the hell is that?" "That's my band." No, we're not sure if that was purpose sucking or if he just didn't realize.
Well, that was desperation, because what happened was that before that, his real band had deserted him. After one of the, and I was at that show when they had had enough.
They called it Trainwreck and Groton.
Oh my God!
And I have to say that his bass player Melissa, his former bass player Melissa, that night I said to Tony at the
Is
time,
that Melissa of the douche buckets?
is it? I don't know, but I know that
No.
I know that Dorian's bass player was named Melissa, and during that destruction in Groton, she was. I said to Tony, that woman has the best punk rock snarl of any musician I ever saw in music. I found out later that that wasn't a stage persona. She wanted to kill him so bad.
Yeah.
That
was just anger.
That was her honest expression on her face as that show went down. Yeah, and that was the end. And then next, I think that's after that we saw Dorian with his equipment.
Band in a box?
His band in a box, yeah.
It's a band in a box.
Which will totally bring us right back around to the Frenzy of Tongues.
Hello.
Do you consider yourself? Where do you guys consider yourself on the suck scale?
Well,
We're prog rock.
I'm coming to grips with the fact that Sean included us in crappy bands because
Before he joined it.
I'm just
What?
No, we want to be Poison and Van Halen, but we can't. For various reasons, we don't look like them. We don't have their skill. And
Karate
like
skills,
dumb
David
music.
Lee Roth, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he could kick.
Oh, I can kick.
Yeah.
I can kick.
Yeah, that's true.
I can kick.
Okay.
But
Well, we have that.
yeah, we're I always go to Joel Hodgson of Mystery Science Theater 3000 to
MST3K.
put it perfectly on one Turkey Day Marathon. They used to do these documentaries, and he said, "We don't care about reaching all the people. We care about reaching the right people." And we've reached about 12 of them. So we're right on course.
Soon to be 13.
Yeah, the miracle of the internet. If we could fill it. This room is about 12 by 15, and through the magic of the internet, if we gathered everybody who likes us from around the world, this room would be half filled.
Well, we like to say that this show will help you in that, but it won't.
Yeah, we had no illusions. This guy dresses like a clown. So,
Not all the time.
yeah.
Take me on a mandate. I will show you how well I can.
Only if we can split a Sunday. Yeah. Only if we can split a Sunday.
Dibs on the little spoon.
No, I call dibs on him.
Now, I'm doing a little contrast and compare.
Compare and contrast.
Okay.
How tomato tomato. There were two bands that I know. Well, there's several bands that I know, but two of them with the same name, 1031. The only difference is one puts a hyphen between the 10 and the 31. The other one is just 1031. Now, I'm going to play both songs. When we come back, I want your guys' honest opinion which one you either like better, with how
I just got that that's Halloween. I was like, what happened at 10:30 a.m.? I was
10:31 is actually Ed and I's combined weight.
Okay, first is going to be 1031 1031. We're going to follow that up with 10-31. Here is Hand That Feeds from 1031 1031.
Evil thoughts are not the same. Evil dudes you cannot blame. Ride the tide, but you can't hide. Seek the truth from deep inside.
10-31. That was 10-31-10-31 Texas Death. Now, were you guys even able to hear both songs? I know George did because he's nodding yes and no. Which one?
Second one.
Second one?
10-31.
Now,
Most
Lisa
of what I
Groves
hear
in the back,
is
tap dancing number
She agrees.
2. Not
Number 2.
She's saying the second one, 10-31. Chad, Lance, Boomerang,
I'm gonna go with Lisa.
The whole group.
I'm going to go with Lisa because I'm afraid to not.
Yeah, Lisa.
Plus, it was
Lisa
better.
is the god in the room.
I think it's unanimous.
It's unanimous. 10-31.
I thought it was 10:31.
I almost did
kids.
that, but then I decided it was too hacky. You did something I thought was too hacky.
I know. I know.
Now, I'm going to change.
That joke came with
change
children.
Directions really quick on you guys. Most of you know I drive for Uber. If you don't know, now you do know I drive for Uber. Now, I'm very
In clown makeup? That would be
Bragging.
fantastic.
Halloween.
Dude, can I call you specifically? I have some friends.
Actually, I had a girl jump out just the other day because I told her I was a clown. I didn't even need the makeup on.
That's deep-seated.
Oh, yeah.
Did you chase her?
No.
Oh.
I was just there to make
Could have been a contender.
But Uber tried to short me $6. Which, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't sound like much, but it's a principle thing with me. Because not only did they not give me the $6, I had to take $6 out of my pocket. So technically, there's a $12 net difference in what I should have had.
Did you have $6 specifically in your pocket that you took out? All right, that's cool. That's cool. I don't carry cash, so I don't know what that feels like.
I had, through the Uber app, sorry, not Uber. It's a company that sounds like Uber. So that way.
Schuber?
Yeah, so we'll go with
we'll go with Schuber. Schmoober.
Anyways, I called customer service. I said, hey, you guys didn't pay me for this $6 I had to take out of my pocket, parking fee, and I get paid back for it. Well, we don't do that. Yes, you do. So I showed them all the documentation. I take pictures of the receipt.
Isn't it odd that you work for Uber and you have to call customer service?
I know. So we're going back and forth. Pay me. We don't cover that. Pay me. We don't cover that. Look, this is what I did. Every other time I've gone to the airport, you've paid me. Pay me. Well, I had to actually speak to someone. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody.
It was Blue Cross Blue Shield, right?
Well, they probably the same customer service.
It sounds like they trained them, yeah.
So
they're not a sponsor, right?
I call them up, and they say, okay, we will help you out. You do what we can.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible.
OG is sitting right here.
So we go through this whole litany of
I feel awkward.
Taking pictures of receipts. Okay, we're going to pay you. 5 minutes, log back in, you'll see it in your thing.
Say it like he said it, though.
What's that?
Say it like he said it.
Okay, if you log back in 5 minutes, we will be able to show your...
Said Apu from The Simpsons, right?
So, long story short, it was...
Views expressed on the Psycho Eddie radio show are not reflected by the Frenzy of Tongues, who do not approve of this.
Or the legal department.
We do not approve of this message.
I waited 24 hours, still logging it up, did not get my $6. Now I'm on a minute.
That's because you did the voice.
You did it back. You did it back to him.
I texted, in the in-app customer service again to Schubert, and again they're like, "Oh, sorry, we don't pay for that." Last night, someone in your crew told me you were going to pay me. Now you're not going to pay me again. So I called them up again. Unfortunately, the girl that I got is not used to people being as aggressively foul language as I am.
Did you swear like a sailor?
Not at first. I was very kind.
It comes from being in the barrel.
Ultimately, it came to the point where I said, look, apparently you don't know your job, you don't know the Providence market, and you're an idiot. I need someone to give me the $6. It's a principle thing with me now.
Well, it has to be because it's not worth the $6. Now it's just all ego.
They're telling me I have to go to the Uber Hub.
The Uber Hub.
Uber Hub. Where you
the
go in.
The schmub.
The schmub.
They're going to hand you 6 Sacagawea
Yes,
coins.
So tell us, Eddie, what happened in the hub?
They're telling me I have to go to the hub. Unfortunately, I am not going
What
to
side
work
was
a
the hole on?
$20 an hour job 2 hours early to get $6. It just doesn't make sense. So I waited on the phone. I'm yelling at. Yeah.
Well, you realize that as an Uber employee, it's okay to talk
like an angry ex.
It is okay to talk disrespectfully and rudely to women. As an Uber employee, it comes with the territory.
That's what Trump taught me.
The views expressed on the DJ Psycho Eddie radio show are not reflective
in any
of
way,
the Frenzy
shape,
of
or
Tongues.
form.
I'm guessing right about the time she started crying.
Oh my God!
So as a supervisor comes out,
That was my mom.
he was very aggressive. Well, I understand the situation now. His English was.
My
perfect.
mom is now a man.
They transferred him obviously to the head guy or whatever. Well, you understand the situation, and
So you're talking to the head and you're in the hub. Okay. You're not in the hub? You didn't go in the hub.
He's out $6.
So
He's talking to the head.
But he is talking to the head.
trying to get this point across that look. You
He
guys
can't leave his $40 an hour job, but he's spending an hour on the phone to get the 6 hours. Fine line.
It's
Fine
make-ready work.
line.
It's
at work getting paid $40 an hour to yell at someone in a foreign country.
Well, let's hope
This
someone
is
from that
America.
shift is
Give
not
me a
listening to
little
this.
bit of credit here. So finally, the last words I was yelling into the phone was,
There's a bomb in the building.
Oh my God! No. There's a bomb and it's in the building. He's calling from in the house.
I'm literally yelling the only two effing words. I'm paraphrasing because I don't want to curse right now. The only two effing words I want to hear is either yes, you're going to pay me, or I can't help you. Have a good day. Don't say. I'm literally saying.
Oh, you got a fence sitter.
That's more than 2 words.
Yeah.
Anything else but yes, we're going to pay you, or
You have a gray area fence sitter on your hand.
So-
That is just not giving the satisfaction of either.
as he's trying to.
What was your self-talk at that point?
Well, at this time, he's trying to get his point across that, well, we're sorry we can't help. So I just hung up on him. Within 30 seconds, I got paid.
Oh. Wow.
I guess I had to yell, scream, use a lot of profanity to get $6. So I count that as a win.
Motherfucker, I do too.
Now with that $6, you can afford your own dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I can only afford half the dessert.
true.
Obviously. So,
Now, did you ever?
just say you're
Eddie's
not
next
working for
book,
Sugar
My
anymore?
Turn in the Hub,
Alright.
coming out next week on
5 or 6 emails.
Brokeback Books.
Now, just out of curiosity, did you ever find out the country from which this girl came that she was crying in?
Why
Don't
did you
you
say
ask
it like
the name,
that?
Paul? Don't you ask?
I don't know. I'm going to assume.
Why did you say country like that? Why was the emphasis on that syllable?
On the word country?
Okay, we're going to end that here because, guys,
Because I do not work for Uber.
They didn't realize
we
that.
just hit the 2-hour mark.
Oh, that's a high note.
We're going to leave here with a song that just sums up that whole story perfectly. Thank you for listening, everybody. We're going to leave here with Vulgarity, Middle Finger Machine Gun.
Fucking perfect.
Have a good night, everybody.